Today it's time for a best-of-5 series of professional StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Protoss versus Zerg, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on Lightshade. Spawning here in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm playing with the blue Protoss probes. From the United States of America, we have Astrea. His opponent in the opposite corner with the red Zerg drones from South Korea, he goes by the name of Solar. Alrighty, so here we go. Good old Protoss versus Zerg. If you've been watching my YouTube channel, though, over the last couple of months, and maybe my Twitch live stream as well, you know that I've been a little bit critical of this particular matchup. Mostly, it's not a bad matchup, okay? It's just that it's become a little bit one-dimensional, right? It's become a little bit more boring, because whenever Protoss players want to play a macro game, I would say that over the last half year or so, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a Stargate opener. So they will go for a quick Nexus on the low ground, gateway into Cybercore, and then into a Stargate pretty much right away. Right now, they're not bad games. It's just that, like, the first 7 minutes of each game is pretty much identical with, you know, the Protoss player going for a couple of Stargate units, usually Void Ray into Oracle into Void Ray, or Oracle into Void Ray into Void Ray. You know, there's a little bit of variety here and there, but for the most part, if you've seen one of them, you have seen most of them. Now, over the last month or so, maybe less than that, actually. Maybe like the last 2-3 weeks or so. It feels to me that a lot of Protoss players have become more and more uncomfortable playing that Stargate-based opener. I'm not entirely sure as to why that is. I think it's probably due to the fact that the Zerg players at the highest level have become very, very good, because they've had so much practice against it, going for those queen walks to the other side of the map. So for a while, we saw Zerg players loading their queens into overlords and then shipping them to the other side of the map and then dropping them on the other side as well. Then for a while we saw them putting them in the Nidus Worm, right? And you just basically tunnel them to the other side of the map. These days, we're all about strolling them, okay? So it used to be called the German Taxi, the one where you go for the, you know, the Overlord drop, and then we had the Warsaw Subway where you put them in the Nidus Worm. These days, it's all about the Soul Stroll, so like the Soul Stroll, right? The Korean players started doing that quite a lot, as to why it's, you know, called the Soul Stroll. Solar being one of them. So I wonder what Astrea wants to go for in this particular series, because I have seen Solar march the queens to the other side of the map so many times. It seems that, I don't know exactly what the win-loss ratio is for him, but it seems that he really thinks it's the best way to playing against one of those Stargate-based openers. And actually, oh, okay, I was going to say, we have an Adept right now into a Stalker, and no tech structure just yet. Astrea decides to go for the Twilight. I'm excited to see this. This is one of those things that didn't get nerfed or anything along those lines. You can still go for, like, Dark Templar into Archon drops, or you can go into Glaive the Depths, or even, like, a cheeky little charge build, although those are not super popular right now, ever since they nerfed the charge impact damage. Either way, none of these strategies ever got nerfed. It's just that the Stargate units, you know, we're looking very, very strong there, because you could use them in so many ways. Ooh, nice little bit of control right there by Solar. Is he gonna lose anything? Nope, he won't. Alrighty. So I'm quite excited to see exactly what ends up going down in this particular series. So it's a best of 5. This is actually the grand finals. Okay, there it is. Dark Shrine. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. This is the grand finals of the ESL Open Cup number 68, which means that I believe it's $200 for the first place prize and then $100 for the second place prize. I believe, by the way, pretty much everyone can sign up for an event like that. So if one day you are a little bit bored and you're like, you know what? Today I want to get smashed by a pro gamer. You can sign up for the ESL Open Cup as well. And yeah, just participate in the bracket. Maybe even win the thing. Although, unlikely. But, you know, you could. Alright, so we have a Roach Warren going up pretty early right now. So Solar, he hasn't really seen that much. What has he seen, though, right? So he's seen a couple of things. First off, he saw that it was an Adept into a Stalker opener, and he also saw that it was an instant research in the Cybernetics core. Right now, he sees that there's a couple of additional Adepts being warped in, which is actually really neat. If I was this Zerg player here, I would probably anticipate that this would be... Oh my god, maybe he is as well. I think he is, yeah. I would probably anticipate that this is a Glaive Adept opener, because that's where you make this many Adepts and you warp them in at that point. This is just going to be a Dark Shrine opener, and there's no detection available at this point for our Zerg. He sees right now the little shades, though, the little shimmers, right? So he knows that at this point it is going to be the Dark Templar. He desperately starts up a Spore Crawler right now, but there's already some mind games being played right here by the American Protoss player. Now, you can still body block, right? Even if you have no detection available, you can still body block those, or body block rather, those Dark Templar to not get to the mineral line. This is actually very impressive play. It's so easy to accidentally lose everything. Eventually, there you go. The spores do finish up. You can see that Astrea is respecting his opponent a lot here as well, right? So he's just, yeah, not jumping into the mineral line, which is what I think a lot of Protoss players here would do. But he knows that it's Solar he's going up against, so the odds of him really, you know, killing the spore crawler there before it finishes, it's rather low. So he killed quite a lot. Zerglings, though, they're gonna run across the map. Remember those adepts from earlier? They're now stuck right there between a pylon and a nexus, so they should be A-okay. Obviously, there's not gonna be any mobile detection here for quite some time. Look at the micro here. Very nicely done there by Solar. He's at the same time also trying to run by at the front. But luckily there for Astrea, he did decide to add on. Ooh, you know what? There's quite a few workers here being killed. I say quite a few, right? I think half the Zerg players in the world, more than half actually, would have just lost right here. Because they didn't have detection and the Dark Templar came in. So that's pretty much always GG. But he loses 4 workers here. And obviously quite a few other units as well. So far it's a flawless game actually for the Protoss. But I don't think that's going to last for too much longer. As Solar is likely going to be able to kill something here very, very soon. Alrighty. So Astrea decided to add in another Dark Templar. That means that he can morph them. I like this. Yep, there you go. He can morph them into Archons and continue this harassment for a little while longer. And this is one of my absolute favorite builds of Protoss versus Zerg. The only downside for Protoss that I really see with this build is that, first off, obviously, it's not a Stargate opener, so I think it's theoretically slightly inferior. But one of the major downsides, I think, for Protoss players, and one of the reasons why we don't see this build every game, is because of the fact that this always opens up the opportunity for the Zerg to go for a Muta switch, right? Now, the Protoss players out there, they will know how annoying it is to play against Mutalisks. Mutas are one of the most powerful units that Zerg can all of a sudden whip out. And if you, for example, right, you don't scout it, and all of a sudden you have like 10 Mutas inside of your main base. You don't have Blink, you don't have Storm, you just get absolutely murdered, right? And the nice thing about going for a Stargate opener is that you can always, when you scout it, just start up a couple of Phoenixes, and then you'll be okay, right? So that's what he's scouting for right now as well as Astrea. He sees the lack right there of a natural gas, so he knows at this point that it's not going to be a Mutalisk switch, but yeah, it's scary. And just going for the Stargate opener by itself already kind of defends you against it, because Zerg players don't really want to do that against someone who's going Stargate. Okay, good defense right here. Beautiful force fields as well by Astrea. He's looking real strong here, actually, man. Yep. Nah, there's no way, Solar, you're going to push up that ramp. No way. Right? I mean, he's going to try. Unless you get, like, okay, some decent vials. Is he going to... I mean, I'm looking at those Immortals in the back. That's 4 Immortals and 2 Archons as well. Battery overcharge is going to be available, or is. Well, actually, quite a lot of damage coming out of the Zerg player right now. It's just that, like, these Immortals are still alive. The Archons are still alive. And they're just gunning away at all of these Zerg units. What you got to keep in mind here is that Solar is doing this off of 52 workers. So this is, I don't want to say an all-in, but for all intents and purposes, it's something that needs to get something done. Right? Like, for all intents and purposes, it is almost an all-in. And you can see right now he starts adding on drones again. Right now he's going for the Evo chamber, but this is a wonderful position right now for Astrea. Astrea's stacking up, right? This army of his is becoming more and more sophisticated. He's not only going to go for the Dark Templar, but also for the High Templar, so he's going to get Blink. Charge is already done, right? Yep. He's got himself the +1 Forge upgrade as well for the ground units. And, I mean, Storm is obviously going to be a fantastic addition to this particular army here. I think that this probe is a probe with a mission to go for a 4th Nexus. Indeed, it is. Great position right now for Astrea. By the way, Astrea, as of me making this video on Aligulek, is considered to be the number 31 in the world. Solar, currently the number 6. I know that I covered a bunch of Astrea games over... this is nice, by the way. Yeah, once again, getting some work done with that prism of his earlier. Look at this. There you go. Okay, well, eventually it goes down, but the Zealot in the main base actually still not picked up. No targeting here by Astrea, though, so he's not actually going to get as many work kills as he probably could have, although maybe he'll be back for more in just a bit. Anyways, I know that I covered a bunch of Astrea's games, but probably not as many as he deserves. He's getting really good. There's not actually that many Astrea games floating around the internet, but he's one of those players that's still actively improving. I mean, you probably know Solar's real good, right? Because he's been around for like a decade, and he's been doing it, you know, at the highest level for a very long time. Astrea, though, still... you know, relative new, I mean, I don't want to say relative newcomer. It's not fair. The guy has been so good already. But he hasn't won as much, I guess, as Solar is what I'm trying to get at. I believe that on Aligalek, I don't actually know, but I think that Neep must be a little bit higher ranked than Astrea. But the difference can't be very far. So when it comes to highest ranked players from the United States, it's definitely either Neep right now or Astrea. And yeah, Astrea has been looking very impressive. He's been having some good results. So far, I mean, he looks very dominant right here against Solar. Look at how patiently he's approaching this as well, right? A lot of Protoss players here would be a little bit more concerned just walking around the way that he does, giving the Zerg a lot of wiggle room. Assuming he micros as well, I think that should be a pretty good battle for him. Bailing speed is going to finish up very soon, but look at this Zerg army. It's looking very pathetic, actually. Yeah, sorry, but yeah. No chance. All right, nicely done here by Astrea. He wins game number 1. Okay, so there we go. Game number 2 will take place on Oxide. Curious to see what Astrea decides to go for in this particular game. It'll be a couple of minutes, though, before we get there. I have to say, it's currently the Monday, right? So I'm recording this video on the same day that it goes up. So if you're watching this on the Monday night, hello, hope you're having a good day. Or actually, I know that a lot of you, if you are, for example, from the States, I know that you like to watch this during lunchtime. I usually post right around, I think right around noon or so in the US. Although it kind of depends on where you're located because there's so many different time zones. Anyways, I did this crazy thing, right? Where I took both Saturday and Sunday off. That's insane. I know, crazy. I normally only take Sundays off. So it feels a little bit weird to even call it time off because, you know, I obviously play video games for a living and I absolutely love what I do. But I have found over the years that usually it's a good idea for me to take at least one day off just because I feel way better if I, you know, sleep in for a while and actually get other things in life in check, right? Anyways, this time around, I was feeling pretty tired. Then it was my girlfriend's birthday on the Saturday. So I decided to take both the Saturday and the Sunday off. I gotta say, I'm feeling really nice today. Is this what everyone feels like on a Monday? Nah, it's probably a little bit different. Like, I know very well from previous jobs that I've had that waking up in the morning and having to go to work is not necessarily always the most exciting thing, right? And with what I do for a living right now, it's still a little bit crazy. I get to, like, do what I love doing every single day. So, yeah, I never want to take it for granted, but it was nice taking a couple of days off and just, yeah, getting a little bit refreshed. I used to also go on, you know, like a week-long holiday or something like that, but it's been forever. Because of the whole COVID thing, I haven't really gone anywhere in, like, the last... Well, you probably haven't gone anywhere either, right? In, like, a long time right now. Maybe I should take a couple more 2-day weekends. Or at least, like, maybe, like, Wednesdays and Sundays or so. Anyways, we'll see. I did, by the way, edit videos for, like, 3 hours on Saturday. I got a new playthrough ready to go for the second YouTube channel, so... After the Portal 1 playthrough that's going up right now over there, Horizon Zero Dawn is up next. So I spent a couple of hours editing that playthrough. So that's going to be starting up sometime this week as well, in case you're interested. I'll go ahead and post a link to that YouTube channel down below in this video's description. It's youtube.com/morelowko, and it's basically a channel where I post completed games that I've streamed on Twitch. Now, would you look at that? Once again, Astrea decides to go for the Twilight Council here. I kind of like this. Yeah, so this is not something we see that often, but this is cool. So in game number 1, he decided to go for the Dark Templar opener. I mean, he could definitely do that once again. The Dark Templar opener obviously is very powerful because not only can you go for the DTs that can deal a bunch of damage, but then you can obviously keep your opponent occupied with those Archons at home as well, which is really nice. Solar once again scouts a very similar opener, so he's seen that it's an Adept first, he's seen that it's a quick Warp Gate upgrade, he has seen that his opponent is going to go for a Stalker. This time around it's going to be Glaives, by the way. Okay, so no Dark Templar, although he could still go for a Dark Shrine as a follow-up as well. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if Solar is once again going to plant down that Roach Warren pretty early. I tried explaining that in the previous game, but usually Protoss players, when they go for Stargate openers, or for a Stargate opener rather, Zerg players usually then want to follow it up with like a 4.5-minute Roach Warren. I wonder at what timing Solar takes it in this game, because last game he already had it done by the time that the DTs came in. I think it was like 3:40? 3:30 maybe? So right around right now is what I'm thinking. Huh? I mean, if he's just going to stick around on Zerglings against Glaive Adept, he's going to be in a world of trouble. Okay, look at that. So it's going to be Glaives into Dark Shrine. Yeah, it's just going to be more Queens right now. He goes for a Spore Crawler. So maybe he's once again... okay. Maybe Solar at this point is putting his opponent on a, not a Glaives opener. There's the Roach Warren, by the way, so 4 minutes. Maybe he's putting him on a Stargate opener at this point. He does see the Prism right now. Yeah, so he had a little bit of a glimpse there. He also sees that a few Adepts are moving out. He needs a lot more. Okay, he instantly cancels the Spore Crawler and goes for a Spine Crawler instead. But at this point, it's just going to be Zerglings against Glaive Adepts. Now, Adepts are very, very good against Zerglings, unless the Lings can get the full wraparound, but even then, it's a little bit shaky. That being said, there's going to be Dark Templar here as a follow-up as well from the American Protoss player, and this could become a disaster. Solar's putting out fire number 1, but it turns out there's going to be another fire very, very soon. There are tons of Zerglings here. He should maybe figure out at this point. There's no... Dude, he's just going to die to Dark Templar, won't he? I don't think you want to warp in over there, though. Why? Why make it so obvious? Huh? Oh, come on. Honestly, that's a little bit slow. Like, the Dark Shrine was already done for like 20 seconds there before, okay. I think, yeah. The thing is, obviously, we have full vision, right? We know that Solar didn't realize what was going on, that he didn't start up those, that he didn't start up those spores until very, very late. So maybe that's why Astrea was a little bit delayed there as well. I feel like he could have done a lot more damage, though, than just what he's done right now. I mean, 5 worker kills is not bad at all, especially since he didn't lose anything. Once again, flawless game so far, I guess, for Astrea, but there certainly was a little bit more potential for a little bit more damage. Is he gonna leave the Dark Templar? No way. Oh, okay. Well, right now, the Spore Crawler has uprooted, and sadly, the 2 DTs will end up going down. Yeah, okay, I think that Astrea is probably still satisfied with this, but if he knew what we knew, he probably is a little disappointed he didn't just go and win. Well, maybe not just go and win, but if he could have warped in like 4 Dark Templar and just ran them into a mineral line, he could have probably killed the Spore Crawler that was building and then everything else as well, though. You never know, right? You never know. Either way, let us see what the follow-up is going to be. So once again, we have the Robo Facility now producing Immortals. Quick Forge right here as well for the +1 ground upgrade. Charge is coming up here. Standard follow-up once again for Astrea. Now this always scares me a little bit when there's just a single Stalker there in the wall without a shield battery. So we saw Solar attempting a run by here in the previous game, right? So he tried his very best to get some work done. Yeah, I just warped in a couple. Oh, he's got to go for a few Adepts right now. They still have Glaives. It's a bit of a wasted upgrade, I guess, so far, but maybe it can do some harassment over here. Yeah, so this is what I mean. Okay, so there's the Spire going up. This is quite tricky for the Protoss player to scout right now. He does have the 3 sentries that we saw earlier. I would love to see a couple of hallucinated Phoenixes go across the map. Because if you don't know that it's a if you don't know that it's going to be a Spire, and all of a sudden, like, 10 Mutas show up in your main base, it's a disaster, man. Like, he knows nothing right now. Let's have a look at the units that shoot up, right? So, it's 2 Stalkers over here and 4 Sentries. Those are the only units that can shoot up. Now, obviously, he can warp in a couple more Stalkers relatively easily. He's also going to be able to go for Archons if he really wants to, but it's not a great situation to be in. Assuming that Solar can hold on here, so he's actually now spending a whole lot of his gas on a bunch of those Ravagers. Yeah, he doesn't know at this point, Astrea that is. So if Solar can defend this, which I think he should be able to, because it's on creep this time around, and I mean the Queens obviously can help out as well. He hasn't really been droning for a little bit. Yeah, he could just go for an influx of Mutas here. Maybe get some work done. Now, this is nice. Okay, really nice force fields actually right there by Astrea. That being said, I think that might just be a little bit too much Zerg. At the same time, there's also a couple of Zerglings running on over towards the 4th base. Looks like that one, I think it's going to stay alive for now. That being said, it looks like the other Zerg units are making a beeline in that direction. And now all of a sudden, we have 8 Mutalisks coming up as well. I love Muta follow-ups as a Zerg player in these kind of scenarios. Even though they're very difficult to play, this Prism has been a disaster for quite some time, and he can kill that very, very easily. 4th base will also be cancelled here. Astrea is now up with his back against the wall, even though he doesn't really know it yet. Mutas are just about to pop. There they are. They're going to go after the Prism pretty much right away, and then they can start moving across the map. Now notice at what happens here for the Protoss player right away. His map presence, it's gone. His 4th base, it's not going to be taken here, and he is going to be in the darkness. Right now, he's going to be playing full defense, and Solar can do whatever he likes, right? So Solar at this point can go for units, which is what he's doing right now. He's adding on 7 Overlords for some reason. I don't know why he's going for that many. But this is now extremely difficult for Astrea to play. Solar, alternatively, can go into Lurkers, he can go into Hive, he can go into Ultras, he can go into 5 bases. He can do whatever he likes. Instead, he decides to play aggressively, which is a fine choice as well. It's just a little bit more risky because obviously Zerg, you know, is going to have to go up against a lot of Protoss units here. But you can see right now that our Zerg player is the one who's all of a sudden in charge. Kills another Prism over here as well. You can see that Solar is happily growing right now when it comes to that supply count. Yep, sitting out here on the low ground. It's annoying. Even though the Mutas haven't done that much, they're giving Zerg, or they're giving Zerg rather, there you go, with a Z, not an S. Zerg. they're giving Zerg, there you go. Full map control. Yep, and this is one of the prime reasons that nobody really talks about as to why Stargate units are so popular, and Stargate openers in general. If you know that there's a Void Ray out and you know your opponent has 2 Stargates, you can't really go Mutas because the Mutas will just, you know, get demolished. That being said, I wonder if this is a bit of an overextension. There's not a whole lot of anti-air there. Oh my god, on the left. The Stalkers are all defending the main base in the natural, and that means that apparently the Mutas can go after all of the Immortals. The Immortals really are the only reason why the Zerg isn't just flooding in right now with Roaches and Zerglings, and I think there might just be a little bit too much swarm right here for Solar, yeah. Nice game right here. But it also kind of shows you why those Stargate openers are really good. Alrighty, so here we go. Next game is Jagannatha, or the Jag, or Big J, or whatever you want to call it, okay? This is a stupid map name. I will stay with it for the end of time until we get rid of this map. This map name is one of the dumbest we've ever had. There, I've said it. Come on, everyone thinks it. Everyone's thinking it. It's not a very good map name. Anyways, especially if you look up the meaning of the word Jagannatha, it has nothing to do with video games. Unless I find, or I'm missing rather, some sort of like parallel between... no. Anyways, this is a good map for Stargate-based openers, right? So, real quick, then I'm gonna shut up about Stargate openers for a little bit. Normally with a Stargate opener, you delay the Warp Gate upgrade, you go Adept into Adept or Adept into Stalker if you really want to, then you go for a Void Ray, and then you use the Void Ray to kill the first Overlord, and then you run the Void Ray or fly the Void Ray over to the 3rd base location, and then you can plant the 3rd base down at the 4-minute mark. To put it in perspective, Astrea's 3rd base in the previous game was at like 5 minutes and 10 seconds. So it's quite a bit later, right? Plus, obviously, you can transition towards the Skytools army a little bit easier later on if you really want to. You can go straight into a Fleet Beacon in the late game, even if you go down to Robotech and Ground Army in the mid game. But I really do believe this. I really think that one of the main reasons why a lot of Stargate openers are so popular right now, or why Stargate openers in general are just so popular right now for Protosses, is just so they don't have to deal with the freaking Mutalisks, because they're an absolute pain in the butt. It will be very uncommon. I mean, you could still... I've seen Raynor go for Stargate, or sorry, for Mutalisks against the Stargate opener. So I've seen him save up like 1,500 minerals and 1,500 gas and then hiding the Spire all the time. But honestly, that's a misplay by the Protoss player, right? Like, you should always be scouting for that sort of thing, and you shouldn't really allow the Zerg to just save up that much money. And then obviously if the 15 Mutas show up uncontested and you don't actually have any Phoenixes out at that point in the game, yeah, then you could still open up with a Spire against the Stargate-based opener. But technically speaking, it's not a very good idea. Anyways, we'll see what Astrea decides to go for here. Once again, Chrono. Once again, straight into the Warp Gate upgrade as well. Looks like Solar has decided to, I think, fly on over to this pillar. I don't know. This pillar is quite a popular location. Maybe he's a little bit scared that it's... Oh, look at that. Okay. Maybe he's a little bit scared that it's going to be a Stalker first. Okay, he sees the Adept right now heading on over in that direction. And it is going to be a Stargate-based opener. Now, as I mentioned, Solar is very good when it comes to dealing with these Stargate-based openers by going for the Queens, right? So I'm pretty sure he'll be excited about playing against this sort of style. Not that he was bad at all playing against the Glaive, the Depths, and then obviously the Dark Templar as well, but I think pretty much all the Korean players right now on the Korean server go for the Stargate opener, so I think he's probably a little bit more practiced against it. Anyways, one thing you may notice is that once upon a time, 3.5 minutes, blind Spore Crawlers were the way to go. This is what Zerg players did for a very long time. By the way, it's going to be an Oracle first here, so a bit of a variety here, a bit of a deviation. That being said, these days, I mean, we can still see 1 or 2 going up. It's just that Zerg players have gotten very good at timing the queens out correctly to finish up right when the very first Stargate unit would come out. Look at this. Astrea, is he going to save them up? Oh, he really is? Well, I don't know if that's going to be the correct move, though, because already that Overlord went from this pillar to that pillar, and now he's going to go back into the main base. Solar's looking for it. Yep. So what is his response going to be? He's going to find out that it is going to be an Oracle. He has not lost his Overlord yet to a Void Ray, so he knows, or at least he should know at this point, that it is going to be a double Oracle start. So instantly another Spore Crawler starts up. Spore Crawler in the main base as well. Queens will finish up. You can see right here, right? There's going to be 1 Spore and then 2 Queens over at the third base. A couple of Adepts actually can get some work done as well, which I kind of like, although that leaves the third base quite vulnerable. This could actually get kind of crazy because Zerg has just sent all of their links across the map. Okay. Yeah, he's going to be sending them back home. Ooh. How many workers? A little bit of a mistargeting right there. Very quick pull right there by Solar. A couple of links are still over at the third base, or just 1 Zergling, I guess. Forcing a warp in over there, but nothing too critical. You know what? Solar's really good at defending, man. Even when he's unprepared, it seems like his crisis management in this series so far is excellent. Really nicely done here. Yeah. So, once again, he was caught off guard right there by two Oracles, although he had a little bit of a heads up there. And obviously all of the Zerglings were on the other side of the map, but he still only loses 4 workers. That's a very small amount. It seems that most Protoss players in the early game, when they go for an opener like this one, are looking for at least like 8 drone kills, I would say. And then lose obviously nothing in the process, or very little. Right now we've lost 4 Adepts, and then also a Zealot. And Zerg has lost this is very, very good right now for Solar. So what does he go for? Okay, here it is. The Soul Stroll, there we go. Alright, maybe free Oracle. Yeah, this is annoying. So, let's have a look at what Protoss actually has at this point. Look at this. There's like nothing. A couple of shield batteries are coming up, a couple of photon cannons are coming up as well, but because he's not going for the Void Ray variant, and he hasn't really started producing out of the Robo facility just yet, this is gonna be a very meager Protoss army. The Queen, by far the most versatile Zerg unit, right? It's great for base defense, it's very nice to macro with, it's very good because you don't use any larva. It's just the all-round best unit for Zerg. They're gonna be used right now in the battle as well. Let's see. How exactly is Astrea gonna defend against this? I do like the fact that he's got a couple of stasis. Yep, there you go. 1 stasis ward will be used over there. Corrosive Biles are gonna try and land on that photon cannon as well, because the Forge was already coming up right now for the +1 ground upgrade. That being said, that Cybercore is looking awfully exposed. Corrosive Biles are connecting, and these Queens have a lot of energy to transfuse a lot of his army back up to full health once again. Okay, Zerglings once more available, so that's always nice, right? Here we see finally the very first one. Oh my god, there's 1 pylon over here powering pretty much everything, right? I would love to see that one being targeted down. Dude, there's 1 pylon right over there. I don't know if Solar is seeing this in the middle of this battle. This is kind of nuts. But you can see how powerful these Queens are. They're taking so much damage. There you go. Okay. There's the Artosis pylon, right? That's what we call that. I haven't used that term in a very long time, but it's uncommon, but it still happens. Yeah. And this is a disaster right now for Astrea. Even if he holds on eventually, I mean, assuming he doesn't lose any workers, I guess he might be okay, but he still needs to clean up all of his army, and these traits are not that great. That being said, right now, the workers in the natural are starting to fall. Just the pesky amount of links are getting some work done. Robo facility gets picked up as well with an Immortal, well, mostly done there. Yeah, this is too much damage. And I think this is the reason why those Stargate openers are probably starting to fall out of favor a little bit. Because if you don't deal a significant amount of damage, or you make any mistake as a Protoss player at all in the early game, like, for example, you know, losing four adepts right there, I think is what it was for 4 drones. I mean, it's not a good trade. You just simply find yourself with your pants down, you know, when the Zerg player comes knocking at your front door. So this is done off of a relatively small amount of workers for our Zerg player. Looks like he has added on a couple more drones right now, and he started up the transition. And even though I think most of these Zerg units will end up getting killed, yeah, they're target firing down whatever they can. Brenda over here is like, guys, I have transfusion. Oh, I don't actually. Never mind. I'm dead. Yeah. Susan over here as well. Feeling brave, I guess. But she will also get picked up. But they have already served their purpose. When Protoss loses all their tech like that, it's so slow to rebuild. At the very least, Astrea right there had the time to produce another Cybercore. So that's nice, right? If you forget about that and you find yourself just with a gateway, you have to build all the way back up from scratch. Solar, obviously, is you know, still fine. Now, these oracles, actually, okay. Getting some work done. I don't mind it. But yeah. I mean, it could just go for another wave like that. He's just going more queens right now. 4th base. He's got roaches as well. This time around with the Glial Reconstitution upgrade. I don't believe he had that just now. With the first attack wave, that is. He's not really transitioning into anything else. Yeah, so when you think about it, Ravagers, they don't need any upgrades. They're good right from the get-go, right? Same for the Queens. They don't require any upgrades. Like, if you compare that to the Hydralisk, the Hydra kind of needs the Muscular Augment upgrade and then also the Grooved Spines one, the one with movement speed and then the one with ranged, right? You kind of need both of those upgrades done before the Hydra is really useful. But both the Ravager and the Queen, they're about the same tech, right? So you can get them really early on. And they're both peaking right from the get-go. They're both really good right at the very start, which I think is the main reason why we see these Zerg pushes happen so very often. Here we go, once again. It's just a couple oracles in the air. You don't need that many queens for this. Okay, Astrea is gonna swoop into the 4th base right now. Realizes, okay, there's not a whole lot happening. Okay, 1 oracle gets picked up on the way home. Yeah, I think that this is Solar just ready to come in for the kill. I mean, he knows very well the amount of damage that he's done. And while he's now biling a couple of his own Zerglings, maybe he's trying to give his opponent a fighting chance. I'm looking at this Protoss army, and while it looks quite formidable, it's just that there's like... these Roaches and Ravagers can keep this army at bay for such a long time. Zerglings and units can just go into the main and the net. I feel like... yeah, maybe. Yeah, look at the supply count, though. And this is not really that inflated type of supply either. Yep. Zerg is once again breaking through the front door. The Zerg army is being reinforced with more and more stuff. You can see that Solar is looking really good as far as the macro goes as well. Always rebuilding queens right here to make sure that he can continuously rally more units across. Natural expansion once again gone. Right now the next target is going to be the 3rd base. Shield battery gets killed. Photon cannons get killed as well. And I am pretty sure that this is all she wrote right now for our Protoss player. Yeah. So, interestingly enough, the game where he's gone for the Stargate opener is the one that seems to be the least or the least stable one, especially on a map like Jagannatha, which has been around for such a long time. This is usually a really good Protoss map, I think, for Stargate especially. Yeah, Solar seems to know what to do. Okay, so next up, we find ourselves on Beckett Industries. Now, Beckett Industries is a pretty good Protoss map when we get to the mid and late game. It's pretty terrible for Protoss, though, in the early game, just because the rush distance from natural to natural is very, very quick. If you're a Zerg player, actually, I highly recommend you go ahead and open up with a 12 pool. So basically a spawning pool right at 12 supply at the very beginning of the game. It's a good build on pretty much all of the maps, especially on the... you know, if you feel like you're right around the MMR range where Protoss cheeses a lot with, like, for example, a Forge first and they go for a cannon rush, 12 pool is a no-brainer in a lot of those situations. I think Solar has got a different build in store because he's already sent the drone on over to watch his opponent's side of the map. I think that this is going to be a proxy hatch. So, yeah. I think that what he, I think what he's planning on doing right here is plant down a hatchery right here in his opponent's natural. Okay. Well, there we go. This is pretty annoying for the Protoss to have to deal with. I think these very highly leveled Protoss players, or these really highly skilled Protoss players, they know how to deal with a 12 pool, regardless of what is going on. So even on a map as small as this one, you, well, it's not even small. It's just that, like, you have these speed-up circles that allow you to arrive ridiculously early. Yeah, even on a map like this, I think that Astrea would be fine against a 12 pool. It's just a difficult map for Protoss on the whole. Okay, so what is his response going to be? Obviously, it's going to be a Cyber Core. There's definitely a hole over there, though. I guess he can finish it. Maybe. I don't know. At least the natural expansion will by now be blocked as well. So Solar wanted to go for a pool and then a gas geyser, of course, as well. And then maybe a hatchery. Instead, he's now going to be forced to take the hatchery right over here on the low ground. So this is already a bit of a dynamic game. I like it. The hole in the wall actually is a bit of a disaster, though. Okay. Cyber Core is going to finish. Astrea only at, well, a small amount of gas, really. I think he was a bit late right there on the second gas, maybe because he needed to block his opponent's natural from going up there. Either way, 2 Zealots right now, going straight into an Adept upgrade here as well. Okay, he did realize that there is a hole in the wall, but that's the 3rd pylon now going up in that location. I'm not a huge fan. 2nd pylon at the front, that's it, and 3rd pylon, or, well, I guess 2nd pylon at the front, 3rd pylon overall. There is a pylon over here inside of the main base as well. This one will now be scouted here as well by Solar. So Solar at this point knows that there's no tech structure yet. He knows that he doesn't really have to worry himself with too much shenanigans. It's going to be just fine. Okay. So a bit of a tough start right here for Astrea, but all things considered, I think he, yeah, he's handled this pretty well. Although I don't like this wall. Like, when I see this, right, I immediately... There's not even just one pylon in the wall, there's 2. I immediately think about a bailing bust. Is it just me? As someone who plays a lot of Zerg, as someone who's played a lot of Protoss as well, don't you just get this bailing busted right away? Because, like, it's a handful of bailings to blow up a pylon. And, I mean, you can put a structure over here of your Protoss. You can obviously put a structure over here of your Protoss as well. But, like, it is a disaster if those pylons, or if one of the pylons ends up falling. I would not mind seeing a... I guess it's not gonna happen. Anyways, 2 Adepts. 3 drones. This time around, the Adepts get out. I like it. That is much better than what we've seen so far. That being said, I mean, maybe it doesn't matter. They did shade. Okay. And they made it past the Zealots over here at the front. Very nice. Yeah, if I would see this as a Zerg, I would just instantly bailing bust. But it's probably not a good move, but it still feels like a good move. Anyways, once again, Stargate Opener. Oracle into a Void Ray. Oh no, Oracle into Supply Block, rather. He's waiting for the Nexus to finish up, which is super... Oh my god, this is a big boy Supply Block. I don't like it. Oh no, this is painful. That's a long-ass Supply Block. Alright. That's not what should happen at this level. Anyways. You can see that this build order right here of Solar has thrown off the Protoss a little bit, right? How many times do you get your natural expansion blocked by a hatchery? It's just, pretty uncommon. Anyways, I think that once this game stabilizes a little bit, though, the map does become a lot more playable for Protoss. So... these speed-up circles, they allow Zerg to go for very, very quick queen pushes as well, right? So you can get the creep through these center ones as well relatively easily, meaning that you can get the queens to the other side of the map so fast. Now, so far, we actually, yeah, it's 8 worker kills in total is very respectable. That is much, much nicer here for our Protoss. Look at that. Yeah, this is actually looking just fine. Now, all of a sudden, going for a queen-based push is going to be much harder. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see it, though. There's the Roach Warren. 5.5-minute Roach Warren. Yeah, that's super late. Still no Lara, though, so maybe. Looks like the follow-up from our Protoss player is going to be a Twilight Council and a Forge. No Robo yet? No Robo yet. 2 more drones end up going down. Wow, alright. 11 workers? That's too much. So queens are ready to go. Brenda has just pooped out another tumor. Roach Warren's gonna finish up. 3 Overlords are gonna finish up as well. Oh, I like this. Yeah, this is our Zerg player setting himself up once again for another push. Walking up this ramp, though, I don't think it's gonna happen. I mean, you can knock it down, obviously, but it's very awkward with the amount of units that you actually need to push down that wall. Breaking through this area of the map is not going to be easy either. Shield battery, photon cannon over there. Loads of units are coming up. 6 queens. Okay, well, he spotted the roach right now, or the roaches in general. Yeah, this is still tricky, though, because breaking through this area is not going to be easy. Oh, my God. Okay. Zerglings threatened at the very least for just a little bit over there. There are corrosive biles with this army, too, which is quite nice. The Zerglings obviously are always ready to run into their natural expansion. So apparently the Protoss units can hit through this little ledge here, which is kind of funny. Queens are using their transfusion as well, and obviously the Zerg units can also hit from the same side. At the same time, Lynx have tried to come in for the wraparound, but it looks like Astrea at the very least hasn't taken too much damage from those yet. Shield battery here at the front will get picked off. Robo facility is going to finish up as well, so maybe he can go for some immortal production. There it is. Zerglings, though, is a follow-up right now for our Zerg player, and he is breaking through the wall here. This is just 41 workers, though, for our Zerg. So this is like, it's a very small amount of eco for our Zerg player. So he needs to do a critical amount of damage here. And I'm not really seeing it so far. Right? Yeah, this looks kind of shaky for our Protoss. I mean, maybe he is doing it, though. Yeah. Okay. Immortal does pop there, so that's nice. The probes are now pulled as well towards the front just to soak up some damage and to make sure that the Immortal doesn't get killed. Corrosive Vials there do sadly connect with the Oracle. Okay. Astrea is going to end up losing another one of those photon cannons. But he is slowly starting to hold, it seems, right? Second Immortal is going to pop very soon. This time around, no Artosis pylon here powering everything, right? So it's just going to be... yeah, okay. Yeah, he's pushing the units around. The Immortals are definitely the most critical ones here. Creep spread, though, is all the way at the front. No run by this time around than a natural, right? There's one Zealot over here functioning as a door. It's doing so fantastically well. Man, what a scrappy battle. While this is all going on, we have seen a lot of probes getting killed, I guess. Oh my god. Nice. Blink is done. He doesn't have that much income, though. How many gateways are we on? It's only 3 gateways. That is a very small amount, actually. He needs a follow-up pylon here as well. Otherwise, everything will once again get unpowered. Solar is pouncing on the opportunity to try and shut all of this down. Looks like that pylon will stay alive for a little bit longer. Probably will go for the biles on that one in just a little bit. There we go. 2 Immortals available. 3rd pylon, though, is going to finish up. Well, actually, I think that's like a 7th pylon, actually. Anyways, shield battery is now going to be available once more again as well because of that pylon being back up. Love this. Void Ray coming out of the Stargate makes a lot of sense, especially when you've killed so many of those queens already. Good micro there by Astrea. Gets out of the corrosive bile just barely in time, and now the Stalkers blink on top of everything. And I think that settles it, right? Yeah, that certainly allows the Protoss right now to defend this. He needs an observer, yeah, because the creep is way too far forward. Solar, by the way, still has not made any drones, right? He is just powering out units. He doesn't have a 4th base. Oh my god. No! That Zealot! Dude, you were the chosen one! You were the door! Okay, he decides to recall a couple of his units towards the main base right now to try and kill it. This is actually now a disaster. Ah! Yeah, you're not allowed to make a whole lot of mistakes against Solar, are you? I think this is still okay, because he's also hitting at the front right now with the Stalkers, picking up the creep tumors. Bit brave, by the way. He did just use recall already, so that's definitely going to be on cooldown, and I do see a lot of Zerglings running around the map. It'll be fine, but... Okay. Zachary the door. There he is. Zachary the Zealot the door. It's a very important role in Protoss society. They have high tech, but no doors. They can literally make lasers and stuff very easily, it seems. But doors, that's where we draw the line. Okay. Solar going in for another wave. Chrono boosting once again. On a robo facility that's not producing because of a supply block there. Astrea is going to continue onwards for a little bit longer. Probes are falling over at the third base, though. Corrosive Bowels once again. Good stepping there by Astrea. Just barely gets out in time. Battery overcharge once again being utilized. You can see that a lot of these probes are kept alive, I guess, because of it. Once again, walks out of the Bowels there barely in time. And these are very dicey scenarios. Astrea trying to get as many shots in with his units as possible. Once again, steps right at the perfect moment. And with that, he will stay alive. Alrighty, so that brings us to the final map in today's Best of 5 series, and we find ourselves on 2,000 atmospheres. So you can see that Solar definitely is fond of going for the Queen March, right? It was a gut feeling of mine. I feel like he does that every single time it's a Stargate opener. It makes sense. Isn't that pylon way too far forward? Isn't that pylon supposed to be over there? Yeah, I don't know. Not the cleanest game, though, by Astrea there. Not the cleanest game by Solar either. Which I guess makes for really fun level, or really fun high-level StarCraft, right? When both of them are making some mistakes here and there. But we saw a couple of supply blocks. We saw Solar losing like a dozen workers to what was supposed to just be harassment. I think if you're a ladder hero, losing up to 10 may be okay. Assuming you are below, like, Grandmaster League, right? But above that, it becomes too much. You can't really afford losing that many units. Okay. The game for all the marbles, as they say. Do people play with marbles in other countries a lot? I have no idea. I used to play with marbles a lot when I was a kid. I wasn't particularly good at them, though, but yeah, it was fun. Anyways. Hedge gas pool once again. In pretty much all my games of Protoss versus Zerg, or Zerg versus Protoss, rather, I've been playing 12 pool. Main reason is really the... It seems that most Protoss players at my MMR, which is like, you know, as Harston would say, low-level play, aka like below top 100 Grandmaster. At my MMR, which is right around like 5.3, 5.4 right now, at least on my high-level account, I see Protoss players freaking out over 12 pools all the time. There is a so-called best defense against the 12 pool, but it seems that a lot of Protoss players just don't know it or just miss-micro it, right? So you do need to control it very cleanly in order to make it happen. And whenever you play against someone who knows how to hold a 12 pool, yeah, you just get trashed and it's not even close. But most people will just not be able to, yeah, respond perfectly, and they will put themselves behind in the process. One of the other reasons, as I already tried mentioning earlier, one of the other reasons why I like the 12 pool is because you can stop a lot of stupid stuff right from the get-go. So if your opponent decides to go for a cannon rush or proxy forgate or any kind of cheese, or really in the early game, you can just stop it. You can just stop it. Just right from the get-go. Stop it right in its tracks. That being said, cannon rush obviously not that popular either at the pro level because Zerg players are very good at defending it. But another one of those builds that takes a very specific approach to have to deal with, or to deal with it, I guess. And, yeah, because of that, it's not super popular. Anyways, once again, Stargate opener here from Astrea. He is gonna go for the Void Ray first this time around. This is the gold standard. So, upon seeing this, I'm pretty sure that Solar immediately is thinking about marching the Queens. You know that meme with the guy who's, like, hiding behind the tree, who's, like, licking his lips, and he's, like, rubbing his hands together? I feel like that's Solar right now as soon as he sees the Void Ray. He's like, okay, I can go for a Queen push. I'm gonna march the Queens to the other side of the map. Solar when he sees a Stargate unit. Alright, here we go. Void Ray, coming up. It's looking for an Overlord. Hello, you're supposed to be over at the third base. Yeah, okay. The reason why it's supposed to be over at the third base is because you don't want to just lose... Alright. You don't want to just lose the third base to a handful of Zerglings. 2 more Queens start up immediately. I saw an Oracle, I believe, as a follow-up as well. Yep. Let's see. Second Oracle was a follow-up too. So Astrea doesn't seem to be too fun. Like, this seems like a macro Stargate, you know? Like one of those Stargates you make early on for all of the benefits that I tried pointing out throughout this series. But you don't want to stick around for too long on this either. A lot of Protoss players are still fond of going double Stargate. So they go Stargate into Void Ray, into Oracle, into Void Ray, into second Stargate, into Void Ray, Void Ray, Void Ray, right? That's a very popular style to play. Seems like Astrea is not really going for that. So 4.5 minutes lair. Into a Roach Warren at 4.5 minutes as well. Okay. We're already up to 6 queens. Zero chance that these dudes are going to get anything done. Yeah. I mean, last game they killed dozen workers, even though I felt like that shouldn't have happened, but... Nice scout there as well, though, for Solar. Okay, maybe these Adepts can get something done, because once again, the links are on the other side of the map. Good scout right there, though, by Solar. He saw in the main base that there was not continued production out of the Stargate. So 2 Adepts for 5 workers is definitely good. But he saw that there was no production there out of the Stargate. So that is an indication that it's probably going to be a ground follow-up here. Yep, and that's exactly what it is. Usually if it's a second Stargate, Protoss also have the tendency to put it right next to the already existing Stargate. Although I think it's better to put it over here, or like even over here, just to make sure that you don't get it scouted so easily. Either way, Roach Speed right now is a follow-up. We see another Spore Crawler coming up too. I wonder what this follow-up and what this push is going to be. Okay, it's going to be okay. Here I am 2 games ago saying that it's probably not a great idea to go for this Spire follow-up because technically it doesn't make a lot of sense. But Solar has seen in this game that it's, yes, a Stargate opener, but also that it's just 1 Void Ray and that his opponent is not going to continue that production. Astrea hasn't been... I don't think maybe he has been hallucinated Phoenix scouting a lot. I haven't really noticed him, though, that much. I've seen him once or twice, but not as often as he probably should. If this Spire catches him off guard, and all of a sudden it's going to be like 10 mutas inside of his main base, that's a disaster. That's a really bad situation to be in. I love what Solar is doing here as well. Just occupying his opponent with a bunch of Zerglings, right? This is not really dealing a lot of damage. Okay, maybe he's going to... Wait, where is the Spire even? Oh, it's over there. Okay. Well, hey. Now you know. Okay, yeah, now he definitely knows. Immediately starts up an Archon. So Overseer right now scouts as well what's going on. Is that the Council on the Spire? I heard. Indeed, it is. Yeah, so Solar trying to play some mind games here. He's now started his opponent's, or he's forced out his opponent's Phoenix production, but I think it's just going to be 1 Phoenix. Maybe 2, but... Yeah, he doesn't know that the Stargate, or sorry, dude, I keep saying Zerg Stargate, I don't know. The Zerg Starport, there you go, that's better. The Protoss Spire. The Protoss has gone for the Spire first. I like it. He can start making Muta Race out of it very soon. Now, I think he's once again just going to go for an all-out assault. Look at this. I see a lot of Roaches. I see a lot of Ravages. I see a lot of Zerglings. I don't see a lot of upgrades. I don't see a lot of tech here anymore either. After that Stargate got cancelled by him, right? He's going to be able to, once again, march the units to the other side if he wants to. I feel like he is because he's once more adding on a ton of Overlords. He's once more just adding on a lot of Roaches. These feel like very unoptimized pushes for the Zerg. Because it seems to me so far, right? What he's doing, he's like just making a bunch of shit. And then when he's got enough shit, he just attacks, right? There's very little... There's very little sophistication in what he's doing here. He's like, well, I got a large army now. I guess we march the queens and everything else across the map as well. But it's been working out really well in his games, especially if he can just jump on top of the Immortal. That's 1 Immortal down. 2nd Immortal taking a lot of damage. Okay, maybe that one is going to stay alive here. But that means that a couple of the Corrosive Biles do connect on those Zealots that were forced to tank for that Immortal. Battery Overcharge comes up. Here are the queens. Solar's maxed out, my man. This is a lot, Astrea. How are you going to deal with this? Yeah, losing that 1 Immortal for free was a disaster for him. That is not what you want at all. Zerglings right now and a couple of units as well working on the Cyber Core. That means only Zealots now as a follow-up. Charge is done. Okay, that's nice, but that's also... Oh, sorry, Storm is done. But that's pretty much all the Storms that he had as well, because right now he's already out of energy, using those Storms very quickly just to try and morph them into Archons that can hopefully help out in a battle. Luckily for our Protoss player, he does have Charge available, but this is not quite what you want. Oracle awkwardly comes flying through this army. Void Ray in the back. No Prismatic Alignment activated on that one. Okay, another Immortal ends up going down. Solar. Yep, okay, even Biles down to Void Ray. Dude, you blink once, and Solar is all over you. I might even say that he swarms his opponents. Okay, sorry. I apologize. No, but seriously, like, you blink twice, you make one little mistake, or you don't deal enough damage, or you, like, lose a couple units in the early game. He is gonna send the units to the other side of the map, and you'll lose, right? That seems to be the gist of what Solar is doing here. In the previous game, he didn't manage to pull that off because he took so much damage earlier on, right? In that game, Astrea also didn't really take a whole lot of damage, other than, I guess, against the Proxy Hatchery ever so slightly. But if Solar is at an advantage, and you make some mistakes early on, this is apparently what he does. He is ready to send everything that he's got towards the other side of the map. He's not looking for this game to go the distance. This is kind of a theme in a lot of pro-level Zerg games right now, where they're like, just not too comfortable playing the late game, and maybe they don't even need to, right? If Protoss does not play perfectly, they can be overwhelmed, it seems, by Roaches, Ravagers, Zerglings, and Queens. The margin for error at high-level StarCraft is ridiculously small. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed watching today's video. If you did, hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. Today, I also want to give a special shout out to the Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for your generosity. But for now, thank you for watching. Have an awesome day. Don't forget to smile, and I'll see you once again in the next one.